All right, check it out, y'all. It is Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. EST or EDT, however you want to say it. We back for another episode, Eagles League Podcast. We about to start hitting y'all with them two-a-days. What that is two reviews every week. We're going to knock these things out, talk about these games. For some of the games, we'll be able to get some special guests to come on, talk those teams with us, give us some different insight from the other side. Some of them, you'll just get your favorites. Either way, it's going to be all good. But we know training camp is coming up soon, so we're going to definitely touch on the defensive side of the ball. Any battles we see, any people we think are going to make contributions, people can elevate themselves during training camp, people who may end up losing something during training camp. You never know. But this will be one of your places and your place for interactive training camp information moving forward. Because guess what? It's about to be that time. We've been waiting. We got wrong last year. But hey, it's only so long you can cry about last year. Let's go take it this year, shut everybody up. And with that being said, first I'm going to bring in Wyatt. What's good, Wyatt?
What's happening, man? You know, another show means another day closer to the season. Training camp's a week away. I'm ready to get into it, man. I'm excited.
You already know. And also, we're going to do a little flip here. Eagles Diva, what it do?
What's going on, gang? Back for another week. We almost there. Let's go.
You already know. We got our first comment here, and we know who it is. What up, Philly? With the Fly Eagles Fly. Let's get it. So with that being said, there's only one way to start this bad boy, and then we're going to get into some juicy, tasty deliciousness. All flavored Philadelphia Eagles style. Let's go.
The kick is away, and the kick is, it's good! And the Eagles win!
It's hard to come to South Philadelphia and leave here with the win. You just don't come to Philadelphia and leave here with the win.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
I don't know of a better way to start a show than with that intro.
No, sir.
But hey, with that being said, it's time to jump into it. And y'all know how we start this thing off every week. Eagles updates. So this is a wide thing, but hey, we all got updates. So start us off. What we got popping off?
Yeah, I mean, Fuji isn't here, but this one's for him because I know he's been talking about it when he's been on. Kelly Ringo has officially signed his rookie deal, confirming every single rookie has been officially signed now. I know Fuji's been worried about it. And I mean, a lot of people have been kind of wondering what's been going on, why it's been taking so long. But don't worry, it's been resolved. He's signed. And man, some of these videos that have been coming out of him training and practicing, dude looks so fast. He's lightning out there. I can't wait to see him out there on the field.
Absolutely. I've been telling people, including Fuji, when he's on, just relax. Just relax. He's gonna sign. Like 4 of his boys are on the team. Like, just relax. Just relax. It sometimes takes time for the language. You got to get those little T's crossed and those I's dotted. But hey, just relax. It's done. So, Fuji, wherever you're at, sir, you can breathe now. You can relax. You can relate, and you can release. Just want to let you know.
The next thing I have here is brand spanking new. We actually signed veteran O-lineman Dennis Kelly, who we actually ended up drafting, I believe, in 2012, from what I understand. Yep. But he is a swing tackle, so if we need him, he can, he's a plug-and-play offensive tackle there.
So we got a Rod on Sensor to ask, are there any position battles for the Eagles? So there isn't a team in the league that there's not position battles for. We have some. So we'll be going over defense this week, and you just have to tune in next week if you want to hear about some of those battles for offense. And then you have to tune in with us throughout the remainder of the offseason, preseason, if you want to know who's going to win those battles.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah, I like Dennis Kelly, though. I remember Dennis Kelly back in the day. The greatest thing about him is what you said, versatility. Anytime the Eagles are signing guys, especially linemen, It may not be the names, it may not be the guys you want, but one thing you're going to see, versatility. It's going to be somebody that can play multiple positions, solid, and a veteran guys, because those are the guys that kind of understand, hey, I may not be the starter. Like, I might be here to be the second, to be the emergency guy, but I'm fine with that because I'm still getting paid to play the game I love. So a lot of times with the younger guys that aren't drafted by you, if they're not coming in and competing for that starting position, at least, sometimes you get a little unrest, a little unruly. But some of these guys are more veteran. They understand, hey, I may not be a starter in this league anymore. I may never have been a guy that could be a starter, but I can still play a valuable role for a team. And you got to have some of those guys in your locker room. So glad to see Dennis Kelly back, especially he'll be back for the Kelly Green Eagles season. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, very fitting. What a coincidence.
Absolutely. Any other updates or bits of information?
Not really any news, but it's kind of just blasphemy. Apparently, there's an NFC exec is out here saying that Lane Johnson is overhyped and that he plays in a run-pass option offense that helps him limit sacks. And he said he gets a lot of credit for being noisy and playing on a good team, which that's been a lot of the a lot of the trash talk against the team is, oh, they're just a good team. They have too many good players. It was like, I don't understand how this is a fault. I don't know. But
there was a time where we wasn't a good team. There were plenty of seasons when we wasn't a good team. So it makes sense. And he still did his job.
Exactly. Dude hasn't allowed a sack in 3 years now, 2.5 years. And those was on some bad teams too. Those was part of some bad teams.
We're not going to, the Chip Kelly era, come on now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I heard the same thing about people talking about Hassan Reddick and how good he is. People talking about Devontae Smith and so on and so forth, right? So let me ask. So the question I always ask the people is, if everybody's only good because they're on a good team, who's making the team good? If Devontae Smith's only good because he's playing beside A.J. Brown, but A.J. Brown's only good because he's got a guy like Devontae Smith on the other side, then who's good? Is it just that there are a bunch of just okay players that happen to be playing together? What's happening? Mm-hmm. And the answer that I can come up with is a whole lot of hate.
And Reddick was getting 10+ sacks on the Cardinals and on the Panthers when he played for them.
Yes, right. Sir. Yes, sir.
And those were far less, worse teams than our defense,
Yes, sir. So we got a couple of people on the Facebook side. What's up? How y'all doing?
What's happening, everybody?
Now, everybody that's watching on the Facebook side, if you haven't already, you're going to need to give StreamYard permission so that we can actually see you and see your give comments. So we can see anything you write, but we can't see who you are. We also get a what's up, cool, what's going on, whoever that may be. A couple of those gifts that we can't see. We got a Fly Eagles Fly from Roswell, New Mexico. Take them from anywhere. We got Mickey with the hi, everyone. What's going on, Mickey?
What's going on, everybody?
And then we're stacked. Hey, listen, I agree with all of those comments. I agree with every single solitary one of those comments. I'll also say, man, for me, all you got to do is watch. Pay attention and listen. This is going to be a year that's going to be very entertaining and important. And the reason being is we have a much harder schedule than we did last year, so we don't have to hear those complaints. So I was reviewing teams that have the easiest schedule in the league. And guess who for a second year in a row is going to be on their list? The San Francisco 49ers. So that's going to be interesting to see because, hey, we'll see if they get that same type of hey, we were getting last year, right? We'll see if they get it again. So it'll be interesting. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We can't control it, but what we can control is anybody who steps up gets laid down. That's pretty much what it is for the Eagles this year. For us, it's championship or bust. That doesn't mean we get there. We made it last year. We didn't complete it. So this year, you got to finish the story. Anything less than winning a championship is a step back. And I don't think QB1 wants to take a step back because I know. We've read the reports. We've heard Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson, and A.J. Brown say it. He's still blaming himself for that loss. And I can respect that because as the quarterback, you get the love and things go well. But he really didn't get too much of the hate. You know what I'm saying? You got some people that it doesn't matter what he does. He could throw for 5,000 yards, have no interceptions, have 25 touchdowns running and another 40 touchdowns receiving. He still won't be a good quarterback. There's nothing you can do about those people. But when you critique yourself that hard, that's what I love to see in a guy that's a competitor, young into this new contract, which is very team friendly for this year, by the way. Unlike the contract Daniel Jones signed.
The next 4 years or so. But yeah, he was lucky he didn't get a lot of that hate. Luckily, there was another guy on the other that was supposed to be managing on the other side of that football that didn't do a very good job. That took all that hate. He who must not be named at this point anymore.
So whenever we talk about he who must not be named, I just think about how bad situation he put us in last year. And I will say, Sean Desai, when he comes in this year, man, all I ask is just come in. I dig a similar system because that makes sense, because trying to rebuild guys up from zero with a different vernacular, different reads and different things, it's difficult, right? Especially for veteran guys. Yeah. But when you could bring a guy who plays a similar system but is going to make tweaks to it, like hopefully not just starting off 5 yards off everybody, like, I'll just go ahead and catch whatever you want, and then maybe in 5 yards we'll get you. Right. And not blitzing when you should be in coverage and not in coverage when you should be blitzing will help the team out. So I'm going to leave that I've said enough about JG in the past. I think everyone who's watched the show or has went back and watched the replay knows how I feel about JG. So we're going to leave that at that. And I'm going to just back up from it.
Take a look at the games we're going to be talking about this evening, and that's the exact reason why, what we don't want to be doing going forward, and the reason why JG is gone.
And I will say, I'm not upset. I will say, thank you, Howie. For this, Howie, I think you get upgraded to you also get a piece of the yellow cake wrapped up with saran wrap, not aluminum foil. And for those who go to cookout, you know what that means. That's all I'm gonna say about that. A piece of yellow cake with the chocolate icing and saran wrap. We all know what that means.
Not sticking to the tinfoil. You can't be
not sticking to tinfoil, so you can get all of your icing off, which is fork when you take it off. Wax paper. That's all I'm saying. That's what you get for making that move. For basically saying, hey, it's time for you to move on now. But ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be joined by Mr. LimeWire himself. And you may remember him from the past, Mr. Martin Pounds. Martin, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? What's going on? Just got off the road. How y'all doing today?
Good,
man. How are you?
I'm good.
We'd be doing better if we were talking about that first game and not the second one.
For real.
But yeah, man. So Martin's here. We're gonna go ahead and move on to this next topic, of course. And of course, there's going to be one that's a little sore for Eagles fans. The season 2 review, week 10 versus the Commanders. This is the game where we took our first L of the year. It happens, but we weren't going to win them all. Unfortunately, we lost the one that really mattered. But this one still stung a little bit because of how it happened. So Martin, I guess we're going to start with you with the first question. So Martin, what did you see different in this game from our previous game of the season? I know what I saw different. I'm going to talk about that, but what did you see different?
The games that y'all played early in the season before y'all got to us, I distinctly seen that y'all had trouble stopping the run. Against the Houston Texans, they had that game against y'all. Even when I looked the game against the Colts, they had that game. And I wasn't sure about our team or how we were going to play. I knew with Heineke we would have had a chance. I just didn't know how effectively we was going to be able to execute against y'all. But I know that when we played y'all early in the season, we couldn't pass protect, and we had Carson Wentz. And so we had to change up some things. So we kind of like masked a lot of our offensive line protection, not allowing Heineke to sit in the pocket too long, and we started just running the ball. And what we did, we ran the ball, controlled the time of possession, kept y'all off the field, kept y'all off balance, not allowing y'all to really get in the rhythm, make Jalen Hurts do something different. get the. So. And we executed. We took the mistakes y'all made. We executed. We got turnovers. We eliminated turnovers on our part, and we won the game. We won in a battle. We just took it from the line of scrimmage, and that was the main key for me was the time of possession, the line of scrimmage.
I dig it in. Coach Dante, what up, man? Appreciate you checking in with us as well.
Coach.
What's up, Dante?
All right, so Eagles Diva. What are your opening thoughts on that particular matchup with the Commanders?
That game was horrible. Defense was definitely horrible. Offense didn't play too good. We had 3 fumbles by 3 different players that game. We didn't run the ball, as you can see. Miles Sanders only had 54 yards for 12 carries. And, of course, Jalen Hurts was running the ball for 6 for 28. Gainwell only had 1, and Boston Sky had 1. So we wasn't really firing on offense like we normally do. We abandoned the running game, of course. And on defense, we just stayed in that soft zone, and we didn't tackle. We missed tackles. Coverage was bad. It was a bad game all the way around.
What about you, man? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we started off the game strong. I mean, we ended up getting that turnover to start off the game, ended up, getting a touchdown off of that, but it went pretty much downhill from there. I mean, the defense didn't help one bit. That was probably one of the worst games of the season for the defense. Just weren't able to tackle any runners. They were leaving the middle of the field or just leaving receivers wide open in general, or it always seemed like they were one step behind on every single play, and they just weren't able to get to Heineke enough in that one. And then it just came down to just, weird stuff was happening. I mean, you had the no-call face mask on Goddard, which just ruined that drive. Quez had a really good game up until he tried to be a hero, where he thought he was going to be the dude to save the game by getting back up and trying to run, and then he ended up fumbling again. And it was just one thing after another at that point, and just ruined all momentum. And then, of course, you had the roughing the passer call, which I don't know if you can even call that a call, but it is what it is. But that ended the game pretty much for it. But Eagles had it, I feel like, overall, but they just made too many mistakes. They just shot themselves in the foot. And I mean, Heineke played really well in that game. He was getting the ball out quick, finding open receivers. He always played against the Eagles well, though. But that's always what kind of made me question why you guys would just let him go here this offseason, because he always played well with you guys.
I think because, one, Ron Rivera, his ego. I mean, because anytime your coach tells you that he didn't know you had a chance to make the playoffs, you know what I'm saying? That goes to show you what kind of faith that he had. And then when he wanted to put Heineke back in, Heineke said, no, let Sam Howell have it. Allow him. And that from that point, right then, Heineke was done. He was done with Ron Rivera. It didn't matter what Ron Rivera did because you didn't show enough confidence, because you took Heineke out and put Carson Wentz back in against the Cleveland Browns, a game that we should have dominated from the get-go. If you had Heineke in, even if Sam Howell did play, I was confident enough that we would have won that game. You know what I'm saying? You put somebody in that's a shell of himself that came in and threw interceptions right off the bat. That right then and there, if our team wasn't being sold, I think Ron Rivera would have got fired this year.
It was more of like a loss of respect type thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, Ron Rivera should have probably gotten fired, and the house really should have got cleaned, and let the new regime bring in their players. Say, hey, I mean, their own coaches, and it still could happen.
Yeah, it still could happen.
For me, there's several big differences. Y'all talked about a lot of them, so there's no need to repeat them. But there's one big difference. Instead of having Trash and Wentz back there quarterback, you had Taylor Heineke, who is a capable quarterback. Mm-hmm. As Wyatt was saying, not great overall numbers, but he made the plays when he needed to. He was able to move around, kind of caught the defense, it feels like, off guard, and it looks like they didn't really adapt. And, you get out to a 14-7 lead right in the first quarter. The Eagles, the murder quarter, second quarter, all season, all the Eagles always score in the second quarter and get big leads. No points. Third quarter, no points. Finally get another touchdown in the fourth quarter. We get a possibility, and then what happens? Quez Watkinsons us. And hey, I mean, I'm watching this play live. So I just want to go through. I just want y'all to go through what's going through my mind at the moment. Hurts drops back. He's throwing the ball. I'm looking. Oh no, it's going to the middle of the field. Looks like Quez Watkins. Don't drop the ball, Quez. Quez catches the ball. Get down. Don't fumble, Quez. He gets down. I'm like, all right, bet. Cool. Got the ball. Why did he get back up? What is he doing? Where's he going? Oh, Quez, you suck.
That was the play that Derek,
and I can't say the rest on
Forrest
camera.
That guy, right?
So many. I just remember seeing the ball
because that's the one. That's the one that threw down the field across the middle, and he fell. And then Derek Forrest had picked the fumble up, and that's the play.
Because he got back up. All he had to do was stay down. Stay down, get touched. And then we had an opportunity to get a touchdown from there. And we were playing pretty good at that point. But you can't get a touchdown if you don't have the ball. If the other team has the ball, there's nothing you can do. So thank you, Quez Watkins. I do blame Jonathan Gannon. I blame him for every loss, and I blame him for every close game. So I definitely do blame him. But at the end of the day, that play was like, so the best mental picture I can give you is, how you have a rope and it's being cut and you got a little bit hanging on. It's enough where you might come pull up if you, get close and then grab the rail before you fall. Well, it's just snipped the rest off for us.
Let me ask you something cool. After that game, did you felt like that Washington showed something or kind of expose something in Philly, for the rest of the season that other teams could have emulate? Because I think one thing that Washington did smart is that because Heineke was back there and he was mobile and getting the ball out of his hand, but the running backs played a part too, because they kept pounding, where we was getting like a lot of chunk yards. If you remember, Brian Robinson was dragging a lot of guys every time he touched the ball in that game. And there was a couple of times that he could have really broke a couple of tackles for real big games. Do you think that game kind of because it was so physical down in the trenches and the time of possession played a whole factor that y'all couldn't really change out y'all defense personnel the way y'all needed to, and we kept y'all on the field a long period of time to make y'all tired out?
I'm gonna let Diva and Wyatt answer, and then I'll answer you as well. So Diva, it looked like you had something to say.
Nah, I mean that's just what our defense is. Being an Eagles fan, when your defense and what they're not doing, and so we saw that from Gannon from jump. So we already knew. What I think it was our offense has been able to carry us most of the time. And sometimes the defense would show up maybe the last couple of minutes so they could get a stop so that we could win. But the way that Gannon played was always noticeable. Anybody could read through his defense because it was easy. He didn't make it. He didn't switch it up. He didn't make it complicated. You knew how to handle him. But, I mean, when you lose the ball 3 times during a game, that's critical. And then we fell back on running the ball. Of course, when you stop running, then so I think that really what our offense just fell off because the defense, I mean, offense can't always carry you each game. You can't expect them to carry you every game. And so that game we both fell off, defense and offense. But losing that ball 3 times hurt. Losing the ball hurts, seriously.
What about you, Wyatt? What you think?
Yeah, I don't think they made the blueprint to beat us or anything like that. Just like what Diva was saying, I think it was a lot of just self-inflicted, things that happened to us, like the Quez thing and the fumbles. It was just everything that we could have won this game if it wasn't for our own mistakes. I mean, obviously Heineke was slicing and dicing. they were running all over us, but we were still in that game. If we weren't making those mistakes, we would have been in it until the very end. And it could have came down to that last second, like who's going to score, whether it would be Washington that had the ball or Philly. I think it would have came down to the end regardless like that. But I mean, those fumbles definitely don't help. And you're not getting 3 fumbles every game from the Eagles.
Yeah.
So I'll say it did give a blueprint, but it was an unfollowable blueprint. The blueprint is get the Eagles to turn the ball over multiple times, attack the middle of the defense when they don't have their big guy there, and get Hurts to somehow play off of his game without really over pressuring him. So if another team could have done that, then yeah, it was a blueprint, but it was, like I said, it was a blueprint that it would be very difficult for someone to try to emulate because of all the things that happened. I will say that this game was the reason that we went out and got Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh, because we realized, it didn't happen right after this, but I think this is the point we said, okay, let's go find a couple of guys, big bodies we can get in that middle and plug these holes, because we don't have Jordan Davis right now. Because keep in mind, Jordan Davis got hurt the Steelers game, and in that Steelers game, they also ran the ball on us after Jordan Davis got hurt.
And then the Texans the next week, and then this game. So they knew something was up. They had to go out and get Joseph and Suh.
Yeah, and that's why I kind of reference back early on because of the Texans and the Colts game, and then Washington just capitalized on what they couldn't do because they was not, they didn't have I would say the personnel like us, even though we was coming together because we had some offensive pieces here and there. But like I said, our offensive line was so bad in pass protection because the first game when we played against y'all, I mean, y'all almost had like 12 sacks in that game because y'all was knocking Carson Wentz all over the place and pushing the pocket in. So we had to change up some things. And I mean, like I said, the game was tight until the turnovers. And I just think that to control the game, we had to run the ball and had to run it effectively just to keep some stuff off balance for the Eagles.
And that was something the Eagles didn't do. I mean, Miles Sanders led the rushing with 12 carries for the Eagles, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, you look at the Commanders, Brian Robinson had 26 carries, and then Antonio Gibson next to him had 14. Which is, I mean, right up next to Sanders. So it's like the Eagles should have been running that ball, trying to control the clock like they have been doing the majority of that season up to that point. But for some reason, like you were saying, Washington was able to kind of disrupt that flow. And they kind of gave them that sense of urgency. So the Eagles were just like, all right, we're going to pass. we got to get a touchdown. We got to get points now. And then that's where, mistakes were coming into play.
And the worst part about the game is, the Commanders kicked 4 field goals. They only scored 2 touchdowns. They just
big field goals too.
Right. They were just making field goals left and right. And we were just not getting any points. Yeah. I mean, you start off a game 14-7, then you give up 13 points in the second quarter, which is normally the quarter that you go off. Then the third quarter comes. You only give up 3 points, but you don't score any points. So they scored 16 points, and we scored none after the first quarter. So they gave them a lead, right? Then we get to the fourth quarter. We score, but then we let them score 9 more points. We did a poor job of scheming for the things that they did differently. I understand the second quarter, and I'll say that because we already played the Commanders. We beat them. We're in the same division. They kind of understand what we wanted to do. But that's third quarter, you had halftime. You had a chance to make adjustments offensively and defensively, and I just felt like we came out flat. We never tried to establish the run in a close game. We're not talking about a game where we went out and scored like 21 points in the fourth quarter, backups versus backups. We're talking a game that, was really close, but we blew it. So you have to learn as an organization. You have to understand, like, we have to get points. I talked about a lot last season, throughout the whole season, and when we've been doing the recaps, take the 3 sometimes. Take the 3, right? If you got the other team, take the 3. We go in here, we take a couple of 3s instead of trying to extend drives, instead of trying to make these big, great plays where we end up getting knocked into a position where we have to punt the ball or we end up getting a fumble. Sometimes just take the 3. Get in field position, take the 3 in close games, keep them close, keep them less than a touchdown, winnable games. But, I just didn't see us play the team that we were for most of the season. And again, they got a late field goal to pretty much put it away. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't have let it get to that point. Philly should have played better. All kudos go to the Commanders for doing what they were supposed to do, which is go out there and beat us, and that's what they did. If you're gonna give me 3 turnovers, I'm gonna win the game. Period. I don't care if I'm the worst team in the league. If I go out there and get 3 turnovers off of you, and you don't turn us over but once on one pick, I'm gonna win that game. If it's 3-1 turnovers, you should win the game, and that's exactly what happened to us. It is what it is. There's nothing that could be done about it. But I will say this, and I will say this perfectly. The Commanders let us down. We could have been the first division to have all 4 teams in the playoffs, but the Commanders let us down.
Ron Rivera let us down. The team was on a winning streak, and when you, like I said, if you kept Taylor Heineke in, regardless of his up and down plays, he played well enough. The defense started coming into their own. You know what I'm saying? We had 2 of the top safeties behind the Baltimore safeties in the game. We was playing at the potential. We didn't even have Chase Young, and we was a top 10 defense at that time. You know, so ride the defense, play smart football. Scott Turner don't know how to stick to the script or mix it up, because when you got Brian Robinson getting chunk yards running down the throat, and all of a sudden you take the ball out of his hand to do something totally different, and then you make Heineke do things that he might not be comfortable doing, you lose the game that way. Games that both of the Giants game, we should have won them games. If we won them games, the Giants probably wouldn't even be in the playoffs. It would have been us as. Go ahead.
So Martin, I got one last question for you.
Yes, sir.
Who is the possible 3rd team to make the playoffs in a division this year?
We making the playoffs.
Okay.
I'm telling you, we making the playoffs this year. With Eric Bieniemy over there, there's no way in God's green earth, and you could quote me on this today, that we not make the playoff. If we don't make the playoff, everybody got to get fired. Everybody. I just don't see us not making the playoffs. I just don't. I mean, it's just the talent that we got on that team, and the way we draft the guys that we have, and the way Eric Bieniemy know how to move pieces and get the best out of his players. I just don't see it. And I'm glad Ron Rivera allowing him to run the offense. He don't have nothing to do with it. Allow him to run the offense. That's something that he didn't allow Scott Turner to do. Scott Turner wasn't a great offensive coordinator. He just wasn't. He just didn't. When you have good success, you don't keep it, and then all of a sudden you change it, and then you put your team in a bad situation. You know, especially when your team was already struggling and had limitations as it is. You know, we could have been in the playoffs. We could have been 3 games. 3 games we should have won: the Giants game and the Browns game. I didn't even care about the Dallas game at our last season, because Dallas didn't have nothing to play for. They was already in the playoffs. So that game really didn't really matter to me. It just, all it did is just to showcase Sam Howell. If you wanted to do that, put him in the Browns game. That would have made more sense than anything. So, and then when we played the 49ers, we had a chance to beat the 49ers in that game.
But you know what?
Guess what happened? What?
You didn't.
Man, whatever. So, but all sense of purpose, this is a new year, and I like the recap. I like this recap like that. I like that. That's pretty good. I'm excited about my team. As you know, I will be up in Ashburn next week for training camp, so I will be there.
Nice.
Fair enough. So, hi, Katie. Our favorite games for this coming season. We'll touch on that in a few minutes for you. But before we do, we're gonna let Martin get out of here. Appreciate you hopping on and giving us a little
no problem.
little razzle for the AL.
no problem. Cool. Anything for you, my man. You know I come through for you. And nice to meet you. That. I forgot your name up the top.
Eagles deal.
Nice to meet you. Great insight on the Eagles. I love that passion. because half of my family is Eagles fans, and my sister and my brother-in-law is Dallas Cowboy fans. So I get it all over the place. So
we're gonna need you to let the fam know to come check us out.
Yeah, for real.
Now, why would I do
people.
that? Why would I do that?
You don't want to connect the good people
because
people.
No, I do. I got you, man. I got you. But nice meeting y'all, and look forward to seeing y'all again. Look forward to seeing y'all again this season.
We'll see.
Hey, Mark,
definitely.
Yes, we will. All right.
Where can we find you, Martin? Where can we find you before you get here? Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter. If you look at my hashtag up top, it says LWSNE. That's Live Wire Sports Entertainment. That's on YouTube. You can find me on Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. So I cover all Commanders, Hurricanes, Atlanta Braves, and Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, I noticed there's a couple of teams in there that your boy is also a fan of, man.
That's right.
Those Hurricanes and the Braves.
Best
team in Major League Baseball. Just throw it out there.
I'm a Bulls fan. I don't talk about it much for a good reason.
well, me and you need to get together so we can talk about it. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, man. Definitely. Let's link up.
All right, bet. So y'all be safe. Y'all have a good night, and I will be talking to y'all soon.
All right.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Martin, man.
No problem.
All right. So Katie also says, is there any certain games we're looking forward to? And Katie's excited for the upcoming season. So to answer, for me, I'll just give you a game, right? Because I don't want to be greedy. And if y'all don't say a game, I'll come back to it. But I'll just give you one real quick, Katie. For me, I gotta get you two. I gotta get you. Sorry, I gotta get two. The Kansas City Chiefs. I want that game so bad. And it's 2 days before my birthday. I need a win. And
I need it.
Of course,
I need that win.
We get a chance to play the 49ers again. And I hope Deebo Samuel is ready. Because you've been chirping all off season and crying and complaining and acting like a petulant toddler. You're going to see us in Philly. And we're going to be at that game too. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yes, sir.
So that's my two.
I'm looking forward to the Miami game.
Oh, that's a good one too. Oh, we got some good games on the schedule. That's a good one too, especially if Tua healthy.
Yeah. Ooh. Looking forward to that one most definitely.
Yeah, there's gonna be good ones. I gotta decide with cool though. Either that Chiefs or that 49ers are the two biggest ones I would say on the schedule.
Yeah. But I mean, if we're talking about some other games, a couple more I'm looking forward to. I'm always looking forward to when we play the Arlington football team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they got it coming.
And we gotta acknowledge that we also play the dysfunctional Buffalo Bills too. That could either be a very interesting game or depending on how they're going, because they're having some internal strife within the team right now. So we'll see how that goes.
And the Jets, that'll be a good game too.
Yeah.
Oh, so Katie says that she's excited for that game. She wants to go if she could, but she'll be 36 weeks pregnant at that time. So yeah, I can understand.
Congratulations.
That. Yes, congratulations. I can definitely understand not going to that one.
Yeah.
She says so. It's like, do I go or not? But I probably will. Hey, I'm gonna tell you something. People say what they want. This is a dedicated fan base. I saw a poll. I know we gonna talk a little bit about training camp and whatnot, but I saw a poll and they had us as the most hated fan base in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I said? Let's go.
No one likes us. We don't care.
He hated us. He's like, I hate their fan base. He's like, I can't stand them effers.
I didn't bring it up in the news because we talked about his ass enough and he ain't on the team anymore. I ain't giving him any more attention. You ain't on the team, CJ. I ain't giving you any more attention.
CJ he mad at the 49ers. He mad at us. He mad at the Chiefs. He mad at everybody.
Salty as hell.
Well, listen out somewhere.
Yeah, CJ, check your blood pressure, bro. All that salt.
Right. You really gonna be mad over there in Detroit this year.
Yeah.
We're gonna see how that works out for you, buddy. We'll see how that works out for you. Right. But just to switch it up real quick here. We may have another guest here in a few minutes. We'll see if that comes to fruition. But in the meantime, in between
I
time,
do have a bit of news if you want to talk about that in the
go ahead.
meantime.
Make it happen.
I actually saw it here as I was scrolling. It's just kind of a rumor from Derek Gunn, who's a reporter within the organization and within the NFL. He has stated that knowing Howie Roseman, he wouldn't be surprised if on numero uno on his list before the season is getting a contract extension done for Nick Sirianni. Locking him up for a couple more years, which is I didn't even think about that being a possibility though, but it makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's shown a lot of promise over these first 2 seasons.
He actually has. After the first year, he's been pretty, he actually has.
Yeah.
So
he's built
he
a
went from
great
Silly
culture. in that
Sirianni
locker room.
to a guy that almost won us the championship in 2 years. It's pretty impressive. So I mean, I guess you do got to pay him right. He doesn't volunteer either, huh?
I mean, yeah, you got to pay him because that team, that locker room is family. It's not just a team; it's family with him, and he goes hard for all his players. Like Nick will jack you up about his players now. So
exactly.
Might as well.
Yeah, I don't know if we've ever seen a locker room like that tight. I know, like 2017, it was really tight, but man, this seems like a whole different atmosphere within the organization right now.
Until you leave, then you start being salty.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, because you left, because you're gone.
You're a little mad.
He knows what he had here.
You know what? You should have took the money, buddy. Should have took the money.
Blame your agent, not us.
Got another guest here, guys. But before we get him on, talk a little Colts football here. A couple of more comments from Katie. She says, honestly, by the time the game rolls around, she'll probably think differently.
Yeah, those games are deep in the season. You got some time.
Yeah, and also the stadium probably won't be the most comfortable thing.
Nah.
Yeah, if you are going to go, my recommendation would be getting one of those standing seats so that way you can be walking around and
Or get it by the bathroom, because by the time you're 36 weeks, bathroom got you there.
And that's in the standing area, that'd be good for that too. Get your little walking in too. So if you do decide to come through, that might be the move you want to make. And keep in mind that there's a night game. It's a 4:25, I believe. So evening, not night, but
in December, what was it? October?
Yes, December 10th.
It was December, yeah. So we're gonna be cold.
Oh, I'm Eagles.
So she says, I don't know the name for the lovely lady here, but if you were 36 weeks, would you go to a Chiefs game? And also, I think it's awesome. You love football, girl. I love football.
I probably would. I just have to make sure my seat's by the bathroom because I've had 3 kids, so I know how that is. Yeah, but I probably would go.
She would go. She definitely would. I can tell you that she would go. But ladies and gentlemen, now we're going to bring on our second guest for the evening, an aficionado in all things sports. Some people call him the Rain Man. We'll just call him Snowman. Snowman, what's going on, man?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you guys tonight?
Good. Well, how are you?
It would have been better if one game had went differently at the end of last season, but we'll make it.
You know what? That was probably the best 40 minutes I ever heard in my life. Cool, and a guest in our chat went back and forth, and we were all just cracking up for almost an hour.
It's fun times, man. Fun times.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. All this isn't fun. You're 36 weeks along?
No, not me. The lady in the chat.
Lady in the chat. So she asked. She also asked, "Oh, had you had a baby before?" Also,
yeah,
I already have tickets. I got them from a raffle, so I have nothing to lose. Huh? That's true.
Oh, nice.
That's true.
Yeah,
nice.
I agree with the advice. Make sure they're by the bathroom.
And she says her seat is by the bathroom. And
so
in case I have an emergency, she's close. Hey, there you go.
There you go.
Sounds like a win to me, ma'am. Yep. Sounds like a win to me.
Like a win. I'd go.
See, all my football tickets I'm going to get this year are going to be in a press box.
I dig it.
Everything's going to have a. Considering what I've been through with some of my body parts being gone due to pancreatic cancer and beating it, I got to sit in the press box for the simplest of reasons. There's food on one side, there's a bathroom on the other, and there's water in the middle.
Yes.
So just in case, because one of the medicines that I take is Creon, and it's something I had to take for a lifetime because part of my pancreas is gone. and it has a side effect which involves me in a bathroom. But it's
Yeah, you
something my
won't get that
doctor
from them.
it's something my doctor recommended, and it's something that it's gonna stick with me. But hey, I'd rather deal with that problem than what I was dealing with 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm
Mhm.
here and I'm standing and I'm good.
No,
I
that's
dig that.
right.
So, Snowman, we're going to hop into it with you here, sir. So,
Mhm.
Snowman is a multifaceted football aficionado. He is a San Francisco 49ers fan. He's also um, a fan of the Eagles. He likes what we do over on the Eagle side. But
Just a minute. But
he
just a minute.
also, he's got a little something for us, y'all.
Before you go any further,
He's got a
I
little treat
must
for us, y'all.
I must greet you guys properly.
Eagles.
Gotta greet y'all whenever I come on. I gotta greet y'all properly. I got to give you the song.
Appreciate it.
Definitely,
Hey, not a
definitely,
problem.
definitely.
Not a
Love it.
problem.
Love it. So Snowman also lives in the Indianapolis area. So he's a little bit of aficionado about the Colts as well. You know how those things go. You live in a different city. You kind of end up hearing a lot of information about that team. You kind of start, knowing
Yep.
people talk about the team you hear about on the radio a lot. So you get a lot of, information. So
Mhm.
I thought Snowman would be a great guy to bring on to talk about that Colts game.
I
So,
appreciate
Snowman,
I appreciate it. I've had so many conversations with one of my good buddies, as cool as you've heard on the air with me, is Matt Taylor, the voice of the Indianapolis Colts, and the way he described it, and the way others have described it to me as well, that been in conversations with, is it's a blank canvas, because last year, all the way around, starting with the offense, they allowed 60 sacks, most in the NFL. And you would have thought that the Colts offensive line coming into 2022 would be a positive and not a negative, even especially with big bad Quentin Nelson, 3-time All Pro. But that wasn't the case. When you have a revolving door of quarterbacks since Andrew Luck, you're going to run into problems. And they run into problems, trying to get to and through different retreads, including Nick Foles, and it just hasn't worked out, which led to them drafting Anthony Richardson. And my guess is that he's going to be handed the keys day one of training camp. I plan to be in Indy to talk with Matt and a few others covering training camp. I cover training camps all around the NFL, but the specific focus will be in Indianapolis since they start next week. But they look at it as a blank canvas. They're very high on Anthony Richardson, but they also know, as you guys know very well, the game is won up front. And the offensive line must step up, period.
yeah,
Because when you're
yeah.
when you're
The
playing,
thing is, if they're going to give the keys to Anthony Richardson, right,
Mhm.
he's going to wreck the Ferrari. That's what's honestly going to happen. He's going to wreck the Ferrari,
Not
and they're going
so
to have to
fast.
use. They're going to have to get
Not
the insurance in
I
order
know.
to get that car
And the
fixed.
insurance for the Colts wears number 28 in Jonathan Taylor. There are some things that Richardson brings to the table, like the ability to scramble. But at the same time, the insurance policy for the Colts on offense wears number 28. And 2 years ago, as y'all remember, he led the league in rushing. And last year, he didn't play the last 6 games due to an injury. It starts up front for the Colts. They have to get a cohesive set of offensive lines, because you got to have some depth on the offensive lines. You absolutely
Yeah, I
have.
mean, you're here with 3 Eagles fans. Do you really need to tell us or our fan base that you got
Oh,
to have
I
a
already
strong
know.
offensive line?
I already know. I mean, you're
So
talking
was
about
good with that.
you're talking about the leader of the band in Jason Kelsey leading that offensive line. But
Yeah.
but again, to stress a point, that's where it begins for the Colts with this blank canvas.
Yeah, I mean, it better begin there if they want to ever compete. It better begin there.
Yeah, and it needs to. It absolutely needs to.
Yep. So take us back to the Eagles Colts game on last season. Closer game than I felt like it should be. It should have been. I felt like we were a much more superior team, but we did not do what we were supposed to do, and we got lucky to get out of there with a win. But from your perspective as a guy who, you're there in Indianapolis, you heard a lot about what was being said, what happened during the game, all those good things. Your thoughts on the matchup between the Colts and the Eagles?
3 fourth quarter sacks will doom you every time. And this is after Indy held a 10-point lead for nearly 2 quarters. Well, they actually held a 10-point lead for the middle two periods. 3 fourth quarter sacks will doom you. And you give Jalen Hurts and that offense enough time to make plays, they'll make plays. And that's exactly what happened. The lack of a running game doomed the Colts also when they were unable to run out the clock. That's a big thing. Being able to run out the clock with a 10-point lead, no matter what the result, whether if it's a punt, you don't want to have a 3 and out. And aside of those 3 sacks, there were also 3 and outs. 3 of the 4 drives for the Colts in the fourth quarter, save the last one, were 3 and out. And that allowed the Eagles enough time to get back in the game.
Fair enough. Diva, what about you? What are your thoughts on this matchup?
This matchup was horrible. I mean, when they scored the first quarter, second quarter when he scored, third quarter, I think we scored a field goal. I saw where Jalen Hurts ran it 16 times and had more carries than Miles Sanders, which made no sense. And then he had 180 something yards. On top of, once again, we had 2 fumbles in red zone. We was 1 for 2. So there you go. I mean, offense was horrible. And then, of course, we know defense didn't, they kind of showed up. They did show up a little bit because the offense was not going at all. But that turnover the ball hurts, man. And why Jalen Hurts is running the ball that many times, I don't know, because he should not be running.
Turnovers will kill you every time. Doesn't matter if you're Jalen Hurts or Steve Young or whomever. Doesn't matter if you can run the ball as a quarterback. If you turn the ball over, the other team will capitalize. Therein lies another big difference. Eagles coughed the ball up twice. Colts only got 3 points.
Yep.
Therein lies. Yep. Therein lies the biggest issue. Therein lies the biggest issue from that game. You get 2 turnovers, and both of them occurred in Eagles territory, and the Colts only got 3 points.
Thank you, Colts. We appreciate you. Wyatt, your thoughts on this Colts game, sir?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like at least the offense was still fatigued or something from the Washington game, because they went in just looking tired. They were not able to get any momentum. This was the only game during the course of the season so far that they only put 3 points up in the first half. Like we talked about, it's a bloodbath usually every second quarter going through these games up to this point.
It is.
But just for some reason, this offense just could not get anything going. The defense were giving up decent field position for the most part in that first half, but they were able to kind of settle in that second half. But that offense was still kind of struggling. What kind of really saved us towards the end there was that, I don't know if it was set up to be that way, but that Miles Sanders pass interference that they had Miles Sanders just go straight down along that sideline and, draw the pass interference. I don't know if they drew it up that way. It was supposed to be like that, but that definitely helped in that drive where Jalen Hurts had to use his legs. Like Diva said, way more than he had to in this game.
Yeah.
You should not be running your quarterback 16 times when you have 3 other running backs who could be doing that for you.
Who could easily run the ball 20 times.
Right.
So easily run the ball 20 times.
The killer was Hurts ran the ball 16 times. Sanders, Scott, and Gainwell ran the ball 17 times together.
Combined. combined.
That's a problem. That's
Yes.
a problem for the
That's a
play
problem.
calling.
That's
So
a huge problem. That's a huge
y'all
problem
know
because you're
every
using up your best weapon too early.
every
Yeah.
week I talk about Jonathan Gannon. Every
Mhm.
week last season I talked about Jonathan Gannon and how trash he was as a defensive coordinator. This is a great example. This is a team that had Matt Ryan. Okay. And I'm gonna put it like I put it about the ghost of Matt Ryan. He's not even the same
Yeah.
guy he was anymore.
Right.
He's not.
And this is the guy who put up 16 points on what was really, in my opinion, the best defense in the league last year.
A
Mhm.
4-6-1 team.
Right.
Yeah.
But games like this is the reason why other teams slid into the conversation about being the best defensive league, because you give up 16 points and almost lose to this Colts team here.
And
But
you
bereft
can't
the
tell me
talent at
just
the running back
missing.
position, and bereft the talent at the quarterback position, and bereft the talent on the offensive line, and we only win by one. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Wyatt.
you can't tell me just missing Goddard in that game was the only thing that threw off the offense.
Oh,
There's
no.
no way.
Oh no.
Quez
I mean,
Watkins was the
it
reason
seemed
that
like-
we won the game. Quez freaking Watkins, y'all.
Yeah.
It seemed like the offense for both teams was off from kickoff. From the start of the game, it seemed like both offenses were confused. The Colts more than the Eagles were confused on offense because, as you said, Cool, they were bereft of a running back. We were bereft of Jonathan Taylor.
Well,
And
remember,
having
you actually still had Taylor for this game.
Taylor wasn't at 100% for that.
He
game.
wasn't at 100%, but he was there because he had
available,
22 for
but he
84. But
Yep.
he wasn't himself.
He was available, but he wasn't Jonathan Taylor. He
And
wasn't
the thing that hurt
game
y'all.
break.
You didn't use Zach Moss. You didn't lose the
Nope.
backup at all. He only had 2 carries.
No,
Mhm.
Moss
When
should
you
have
know your
gotten
guys
the bulk
hurt,
of- Yep.
You have to be better. You have
Moss
to be
should have
smarter.
gotten the bulk of the carries in that game when you know Jonathan Taylor is not at his best.
And I'll tell
You
you,
got to
something
have
else.
some capable backups.
I'll tell you something else. We talk about running backs. We talk about Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
So Jonathan Taylor, as well as a lot of these other running backs, have realized something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that is? I can go out there and do 2,000 yards and, be great and be the reason why the team wins, 5 or 6 games. And guess what's going to happen to me? It's going to come for me to get paid, and y'all are going to screw me.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I think we're going to start seeing out of a lot of these guys? I think we're going to start seeing guys say, you know what? I could get this extra 5 or 6 yards if I put my head down and run up the field, but I'm about to run out of bounds, so I'm about to get down. Y'all don't want to pay me anyway. I'm going to protect myself.
Oh, we're
So that
seeing it now.
when I go somewhere else down the line, because you're not going to resign me, I'm going to have to go somewhere else and take a lower pay than I should be getting. I need to make sure I can have a little bit more longevity. And how do I have the longevity? Getting hit less, initiating less contact, and being smarter about what holes I pick and what plays I try to make for my team. And I tell you, man, I think that's going to be the side effect of these running backs and how they're being treated now as far as contracts go.
Oh, we were seeing that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we got Martin in the
just seeing it.
comments. Martin says, "Thanks for having me on. Great show. Appreciate it, Martin."
Coming on.
Le'Veon's like, I don't look like a fool now, do I?
Le'Veon Bell started this.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell started this by blatantly walking away. When he got traded to the New York Jets, how available was he? And how focused was he? So
He was making rap albums.
Yep. So what you described, Cool, is already happening.
It's going to get worse.
It's going to
it's
get
getting
a
worse
lot. It's going to get a
by the
lot
day.
worse. There's only a couple of running backs right now that are locked in for longer than 2 years. There's only a couple of running backs. One of them I happen to know very, very well. His name is Christian McCaffrey, who are locked in for more than 2 years. And when you know what weapon you have at the running back position for your team, you want to lock them in quick. You want to lock them in soon. You rather him lock them in sooner rather than later. And right now, it's going to bite the Raiders in the rear end for not locking up Josh Jacobs. That's just one of the major examples. I don't even have to mention Saquon Barkley.
Well, I'll just say this. If I'm a running back in the NFL right now, I'm saying to myself, y'all get 75%.
Yep.
That's what I get moving forward. The only running backs that's going to give you a lot is the first and second year guys. The guys early on, or the guys that you extend, like you said, within that first 3 years, as soon as they become eligible, go ahead and get them a decent wage. Because the fact of the matter is, it would be silly. Like, for instance, we have DeAndre Swift last year for his rookie deal, right? So we traded for him. We didn't give up a lot. People say, "Oh, that's robbery. The Eagles just the rich getting richer." So, granted, our whole running back room is like 7.5 million or roughly, and Miles Sanders by itself is 7.25 for the Panthers. So we get 4 guys for what Miles Sanders got for just him, and he's not a guy that's been able to stay healthy. He wasn't even really healthy all of last year, right?
No.
That's why he wasn't playing in certain games. And everybody's like, "Why are you not playing?" He wasn't playing because he wasn't healthy. But I digress. So the point is simply this: Swift is playing for a contract. And Swift is not just playing for a contract with the Eagles. He's playing for a contract somewhere next year, whether that's in Philadelphia, whether that's somewhere else. How that works for the Eagles is he's on our team this year, and he's got to show he has some semblance of staying healthy. He's got to show he has some semblance of being a number one back to even get about 5 to 7, maybe 8 million a year. So,
and you got to prove that from all the years you had in Detroit. You've got to be the bell cow running back. It's a term that I use often. You traded for DeAndre Swift for a reason. Now it's up to DeAndre Swift to prove it, to prove that he's worth it.
Absolutely.
Penny's kind of in the same situation.
But Penny, I don't think is ever going to really get big money anymore. But
no, not this. He's 27 now.
All it takes is one team to fall in love with you and want to overpay you.
Yeah,
it happened. Remember,
we've seen it before.
The Commanders, when they were the Redskins, used to beat them every year.
It happened with Le'Veon Bell. Does that tell you anything?
It was the Jets. That tells us a lot.
There you go. That explains everything. It's the Jets.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go with our guest first. Any last thoughts on the Colts Eagles game from last season?
Well, we got this year's a blank slate for the Colts. I'm just anxious to see. What they put up and how they put the puzzle together.
So I'm going to put this comment up. This comment comes at a great time with the 49ers guy here. Red Bull says, "Hey guys, I'm back. I was thinking Brock Purdy. I honestly think that if he were healthy, he would have won that game.
It would have been closer than it was. Because as soon as Hassan Reddick, and I got all the love in the world for Hassan Reddick, made that incredible play on Brock Purdy, I looked at my wife, Jody, she looked at me, and we both said at the same time, game over. Because the Eagles were ready to play defensively, and they got on the board first, and they chopped the hell out of Brock Purdy. But I will leave y'all with this. It'll be a repeat of this past NFC Championship. Only thing to determine if we got to go back to South Philly or if y'all got to come to Santa Clara. That's the only thing that's to be determined.
Book it.
Because I wouldn't be surprised. Listen, how can you be? I've asked this question a lot. Cool's brought it up. How can you be a Super Bowl contender or a Super Bowl participant, or in Kansas City's case, Super Bowl champion, and you get better, and you get scarier, and you improve everywhere? That's what those 3 teams did. They got better. And you know what's scary? The 49ers will still be the wild card because we don't know the quarterback situation, but everyone wants to put down Sam Darnold. But Sam Darnold's got something now in Frisco that he never had. Weapons. So I say wash, rinse, repeat. Just depends on if we got to go to the Link or y'all got to come to Levi's. That's it. That's it. Because nobody else in the NFC will touch either the Philadelphia Eagles or the San Francisco 49ers, period. Ain't no way.
Hey, Sam, that's where you're wrong, sir. There's always one team that you forget about, sir. And they've already won the Super Bowl. You know,
Oh, well, I'm talking NFC only.
I'm talking NFC only too. There's one team with a delusional fan base. Here, never mind. They've already won the Super Bowl this year.
You mean the moronic Republic of Cowboy Nation?
Yeah, we like to refer to them
word for my friend
affectionately as
Victor?
the Arlington football team, but you know that works too.
Arlington football team works too. But see, I may as well throw the grenade. They got nothing coming. They got nothing. They have not a thing coming. I can name. I won't do it here because it'll take up too much time. I can name about 100 reasons why you can't trust them. In or out of the division. Besides, they come to us in week 5 and we get to. I can't say it the way I want to say
it. Let's just say this is the verbalization of taking gasoline and then throwing a match.
Yeah.
And then just standing there and seeing what happens. That's what I really was doing, guys. I commend Snowman for not taking the bait. Great job.
You know I wanted to. you know I wanted to. Okay. It's like I said, the moronic Republic of Cowboy Nation, or as you say best, Mr. McCain, the Arlington football team. I think I'm gonna start using that until they actually prove something.
Hey, you've been using it for a while, sir.
We get to see. Listen, my 49ers get to see him in week 5, and we get to sock him in the mouth again in our house in Santa Clara. I'm fine.
Yeah, we see him every year. So
Twice.
Just kick their asses twice, will you please?
That's what I would like to see happen.
Put the rest of the NFC East out of our misery, even though I follow the NFC West more. Put the NFC East out, put them out of their misery, and just kick their asses twice, please.
That would definitely be the goal. So that would definitely be the goal.
And we'll do y'all a favor and pound them into the dirt October 8th in Santa Clara. We will help y'all. We will help y'all along and lay the foundation for both of us, for both our teams to clash in January. All we got to do, y'all beat them twice, we beat them once, we're good. All right?
This is facts. So, Diva, any other thoughts on the Colts game? We did get a little bit off topic, but whenever you have Snowman on, you always go off the rails. That's part of the process.
No, I don't got no more thoughts.
It's just part of the process.
It's part of the process. If you don't go off the rails, then you're off the rails.
Then people will think something's wrong with me if I don't go off the rails.
And Wyatt, any final thoughts on the Colts game for you, sir?
Nah, man, I'm good.
All right. So, Snowman, before you get out of here with us, sir, let everybody know where they can find you.
All right. Snowman Multimedia on YouTube is where you can find me. It's where all of my shows are. And you can also check me out on snowmanmultimediasports.com. And follow me personally on my personal social media at bsnowmultimedia. That's where you can find me. And I look forward to chatting with y'all all season about some football.
Absolutely, sir.
Definitely.
Appreciate you, man. And we may have you back for that 49ers game. You got to get somebody that won't be crying the whole time.
Yeah, I know, right?
I ain't going to be crying because I'm looking forward to it, man.
Fair enough.
Look,
all right, man.
We get to see y'all twice. We get to see you once in November in South Philly, and we get to see you another time at the end of January. I'm cool.
Hey, we'll do our best to do our jobs and make sure y'all do y'all's.
Right.
Done.
All right, good sir.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, Snowman.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, so guys, a few more minutes here. You know, we got to get a little bit into this defense for training camp. So I'll start off with a simple question. Any specific position come to mind? Any specific players come to mind that you feel like are going to be kind of in a battle here for their roster position in training camp, either as a starter or a backup on the defensive side of the ball? I know it's not as much on defense because a lot of those battles are going to be on offense, but there may be a couple.
I mean, the only one I can really think of, I mean, at least on offense, would be like the wide receiver, which would we've been talking about here mostly all season.
Yeah. So we'll talk about that next week. But you don't think anything on defense? Nothing on the defense side?
If I had to say defense, this could be, I don't know if it's blasphemous, but it could be, a little hot take. But maybe Avonte Maddox and old Kelly Ringo, if he goes out there and shows some stuff, maybe he can slide in at that corner position.
Okay. So I'll give you one. I'll give you a 3-way. So we've got Sidney Brown, 3rd round pick, right? We've got Terrell Edmonds and we've got Reed Blankenship starting at safety. We've got Sidney Brown sitting there as the next guy. If Sidney Brown goes out and has a great camp, a tremendous camp, could there be a possibility that either Terrell Edmonds or maybe Reed Blankenship lose their starting job? Not play at all, but maybe one of them lose their starting position. Also, I love what you said about the nickelback. I think I'd love to throw Greedy Williams in there as well.
Greedy Williams.
Yeah, because great skills, just injury prone. So maybe gets with a different team, fresh start. See how things go with him there. Also, there's been a lot of talk at defensive end, right? So right now at defensive end, we've got Brandon Graham and Josh Sweat. Interestingly enough, neither one of those names are Derek Barnett. So what happens there?
Derek Barnett is second.
Yep. But he's on the bench now. So can he come in, maybe outperform an older Brandon Graham? Maybe slide that starting role in? Maybe,
He's going to have to do something. If he wants to stay on the team, he's going to have to do something.
Exactly. And then now at defensive tackle.
You got Carter and Davis and Street. And
you got
Williams.
Don't forget Barnett. Not Barnett. Cox and Jordan Davis too at the left defensive tackle. So that's some questions as to who's gonna, some of those battles. Because what I find very interesting, and I'm glad you mentioned defensive tackles equals diva. That's kind of where to me the biggest question. Some of the other ones is maybe somebody really performs well and somebody gets bounced down. But when we look at these defensive tackles, you got Fletcher Carson, Jalen Carter looking like the starters right now. But behind them, at least according to the depth chart as of now, you've got Jordan Davis, Milton Williams, Kentavious Street, and then to a lesser extent, Marlon Tuipulotu, who has played well. Probably slots more as a backup, but at least, he's in there. And I think that's going to be some of the depth that we're looking at to have there. But who starts, right? Who wins the starting positions? And I know they're classified as left and right defensive tackles, but let's be honest. In my mind, the two best of those guys should be starting. I don't care if they're both on the left. I don't care if they're both normally on the right. You put the two best players out there. One guy figures out how to play one side. One guy figures out how to play the other side, and we keep it moving. So I'm excited to see how that plays out throughout the offseason. I don't really see anything in linebacker. I don't think Christian Ellis or Sean Bradley is going to take out Nakobe Dean or Nicholas Morrow, especially with Nakobe Dean already having the green dot. And for those of you who don't know what that means you're the play caller on defense. So I don't see the play caller in OTAs getting knocked down unless he gets hurt or something drastic happens. So I think for me, like you said, Wyatt, nickel corner is a good one to watch. Because you got Maddox, but you got guys like Greedy Williams, you got guys like the aforementioned Keely Ringo, who could possibly, take that position. Either they outplay him or, I hate to say it, but Avonte Maddox is a guy who does get often injured. And theoretically, his backup should be Zach McPherson. But I would wager to say I would rather have Keely Ringo or Greedy Williams in over Zach McPherson.
Yeah, and you make a good point about the Sidney Brown possibly going over taking Terrell Edmonds' spot too. Terrell Edmonds played well with Pittsburgh, but who knows what he's going to be like in this scheme under Desai? Who knows?
Yep, so I
forget who was the safety? Who was the safety, the veteran safety we had over the past couple of years? We kept bringing back. He was like on practice squad for a little bit. I forget his name. I feel like it kind of reminds me of that signing a little bit.
I know you're talking about. I can't remember his name now, but I know who you're talking about. We had him just last year on the practice squad.
Yeah, and he was a starter the year before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his name eludes me at the moment, but I know exactly who you're
remember.
talking about. He's well loved in the city too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember exactly who you're talking about. I can't remember his name at the moment. If anybody in the chat remembers, let us know.
Yeah, I don't think he's taking Reed Blankenship's spot. I think that's his. I think he's just going to keep getting better and better. Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm just saying that's what the training camp.
Same with Milt Williams. I mean, I don't know if he's going to end up getting that starting spot, but he's been consistently getting better each season. I think he's going to take a big step here, especially with Javon Hargrave out. Somebody's going to have to step up on those rotations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely. I'm just curious as to see who's going to be the starter because, like I said, all those defensive ends and tackles, I think 3 deep, they're all going to play. Taron Jackson's going to play. Marlon Tupeluto's going to play. Kentavious Street's going to play. Matt Leo's going to play. I think
and
all
you also
those guys
got to think maybe they bring
So
back too at some point.
Yeah. I wouldn't, but Sue's probably not going to come back until like week 6.
Oh, yeah. He said he's not doing training camp, but that's what I'm saying. Eventually, at some point, they'll probably add some more depth to that line.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, next week we're going to talk about offense. And I think offense got a couple of battles that can be had. So we can, kind of dig into those a little bit more, especially on the offensive side. Interesting one for me is at running back. We know who we think the starter is going to be, who the starter should be. But I think training camp is going to play a big part in that too. So just a little preview for next week. But guys, just a couple of pieces of, things we got to do here before we get out of here. One, of course, would be we got a few more comments here we want to slide through and make happen. So we'll start here with Katie, Miss Red Bull Royd. Let's see. I'm trying to think what's the last one we talked about. Okay, here we go. We'll make sure we don't reread the same one. She says, well, I think the Eagles got away with some stuff. She was with her boyfriend, and that AJ Green catch shouldn't have counted since he didn't take control of the catch. I think she's meaning to say catch, and she said cast.
Yeah.
And she says, the Eagles got away with some stuff. Hey, I agree that things happen. She also says, I live in Dallas during the winter, so I'm a Cowboys fan. Their fan base is very, very, very crazy and fun. Oh, I'm sure they are. And then we got my guy Freddie Henderson, one of my guys from Sports Empire checking in with us. Appreciate that, Freddie. We also have Aaron Riley checking in. Fly Eagles Fly, all day, every day, and twice on Sundays.
Yes,
3 times during the season, 4 times in the playoffs. Let's get it. And then Red Bull says again, I just texted my mom that I'm going to go to the Chiefs game, and she texted me back, and I'll quote her. She says, "You're insane. You're going to be ready to pop if I'm not there to save you." Love it that she says my mom can be ridiculous. But hey, a night game at Arrowhead is a can't miss game. I'm going to be there. That's true. I'm going to be there. She says, I think Pitt might be a playoff team. I mean, somebody's got to make the playoffs in the over there. Somebody's got
division,
to.
Yeah. I don't know if they win in the division. Maybe they slide in that wild card spot.
Yeah, probably.
Possibly. And she says the only thing she's upset about is how freaking cold it'll be. It will be cold, but you know what?
It's gonna be cold.
There's gonna be barbecue out there and all kinds of Kansas City treats. So hey, sometimes you gotta make a little sacrifice, throw in a little extra layer, keep it moving. 2 days before the birthday, I'm gonna be excited for that one. I just really want a team to give me a dub for the birthday. That would be great. That would be fantastic.
Yes, sir.
Right? That would be wonderful. Do I think it's gonna happen?
Remains to be seen.
It remains to be seen. I don't want to count it before it actually
See
happens.
what the team looks like going into that week.
Yeah. Hopefully a lot better than, especially on the defense side.
What's up, Mo? Appreciate you as well for hopping in and checking us out tonight.
What's happening?
What's going on?
Couple emojis there, so definitely shout out to that. So, a couple more pieces of things to take care of that we got to kind of drop out here every week. So first, of course, we want to shout out our partner who we are airing on real quick. So let's get him a little quick
This
look.
and you're watching Shady Sports Network. Tune in, hit that like button.
You might wonder, what do these guys do? Player signing announcements. I never in a million years thought you would actually come on to break this news. So without further ado, go ahead and tell everybody what happened today.
Yeah, man. I just had to work out with the Cincinnati Bengals. Finding me right out.
Without further ado, I'd like to announce that, I'll be taking my talents to Salina Liberty.
This just in, the Major League of Football is reportedly collapsing, unable to pay hotel room bills, with players being kicked out of their rooms and hotel managers asking them to leave voluntarily without issue.
All right, then we got a couple more comments here. We got Red Bull says, thanks for the live stream. I'll hop on soon. Y'all have a great night and bye. Red Bull, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button along with everybody else that's watching.
Yes.
That share button works very well nicely as well. So, we got to end every show with a Fly Eagles Fly. Hashtag be elite. And, just one other thing that I want everyone to remember. Philadelphia Eagles are going back to and winning the Super Bowl this year.
Because that's the bottom line. Because Stone Cold said so.
What?
And if you have a problem with that.
And if you're not down with that, Philly's got 2 words for you.
And with that being said, it's time for us to head on out for the night. But again, just another Fly Eagles Fly, another hashtag be elite. Make sure you join us next week. We'll be covered in the next 2 games. We'll hopefully have some more wonderful gentlemen on or ladies to talk some Philadelphia Eagles football with us.
Some early training camp coverage.
You already know, and some information on the offensive side of the ball that we didn't cover today, because we definitely got a lot more to cover on that side as well. So for the crew, Miss Eagles Diva, Mr. Wyatt, it's your boy Cool McCain. Check us out next week. And as always, Fly Eagles Fly, hashtag be elite.
Have a good one.